Okay, so we're looking at our next stage of the explainer project, which is just to import your footage into After Effects. So this is going to be a real basic kind of like step-by-step thing. The main thing you want to do is go ahead and start up After Effects, make sure that's on, and then you just want to go to File, New Project. And you just want to make yourself a new project that so that things don't get confusing. So go to File, New Project, and it'll ask you for some like baseline stuff. You can go ahead and open that up and click through it all, and then we just want to go ahead and we want to save this right away. So once you get your new project started, go to File, Save As, and you just want to remember that folder I told you to make. I put mine on the desktop here. You want to go in here and go to Unit 3, which is wherever you're keeping that folder. And you just want to go ahead and just name it something like something you can find so that you can kind of remember it, right? Don't use a lot of crazy names. Don't save a whole bunch of different things. Just save this, click Save. So now I know that that's saved and I can always find it when I need it. I don't need to go looking around for it. If I go back into my Finder and I go to, look for it, I can look at Unit 3 and okay, there it is. So here's the Photoshop file I was using earlier. Now here's the After Effects file that I was using. So these little file extensions, PSD, AEP, tell you which kind of thing they are alongside the icon. You can also always just control click on it and ask it to give you some info, and it'll tell you all the information about what it is and all the different things here. So all right, so once I get that done, now I know I'm safe. I've saved it. I can just hit Command S anytime I want and it'll save. Now we need to import in your Photoshop file. So again, you want to follow this step by step. You want to go up here and go to File, Import, Import File. So just click on that. And there's going to be a lot of different options. And so again, like if you don't know where you are, remember you want to go to your folder that we created where we just put everything and we're keeping it all there. And we want to grab this Photoshop file, so the one that you have all your layers stacked into, right? And we want to go ahead and where it asks us down here, like, how do we want to bring that PSD file in? We want to go here and go, we want to go down here and go, instead of footage, we want to go to composition. So you want to make sure that you don't have footage checked. You want to have composition checked. Click Open. It's going to bring up another dialog box that's going to ask you, do you want it to be a footage, composition? Remember, we want composition. And you want to make sure you have editable layer styles checked. If you just click OK, you're going to see that over here in the project panel, so again, After Effects is set up just a lot like Photoshop was, where in InDesign, where you have all these tools and these palettes. But over here, you have one big composition that has like the whole everything in it. And then if you click here on this folder and then you twirl that down, you're going to see all of the stuff that you brought into your project. So all the things that you built in Photoshop are going to show up. So Acid Tank was the folder, and then these are the little pieces and parts that were inside that folder in Photoshop. So we know we brought all of our junk that we had made in there, which is great. So now the thing to do would be to create a composition. So I would just go up here, you go up to Composition, New Composition, and we'll call this like Scene 1. Anything that'll help you kind of like keep track of things. It's really important that you name stuff. Make sure it's a 1080 by 1920, and just click OK. Okay, so now you can see the scene has shown up here in our project palette, and you just want to click on that scene and you want to drag it down here into the timeline and just let it go. So, oh, it actually looks like it's already open. If you needed to, you could just double click it and that would bring it open. But this little window here tells you, what am I working on right now? What do I have selected? You can see there's nothing in there, right? Well, let's say I want to grab the etching hand and I want to do something to it. Well, what I could do here is click on the etching hand comp, click and drag that and drop it in. And now you can see that the etching hand is in there. And this is all like a bundle. So the etching hand has all of the other junk that we had in there. All of the layers are contained in that etching hand comp. So anytime you see this little symbol here that's got like a circle, a triangle and a square, green, blue, and red, it's a comp. So you can grab that, and now if I wanted to, I can just move this thing around by grabbing the arrow tool here, and I can move it wherever I want to, all over the screen, right? And so this would be where you start laying out like where different things should happen in your compositional space. If you ever want to edit a single little thing inside of a comp, you can double click the comp. Now you can see that this is showing me what's actually inside of etching hand comp, and it's these two layers. You have the line work and I have the white work, right? So you can't see because it's got a black background, but just a transparent background basically. And if that ever bugs you, you can always go up here and go to composition, or I'm sorry, go to project settings, and you can make sure that you have this set as a white background. So so this is basically just showing me kind of what's behind, that there's nothing behind this, it's just black, right? And if I close this and go back in here, now I can go to composition, I can go to composition settings, and I can make sure the background color is white in that comp. So there you go. So that's basically what we've got going on. So we have scene 1 comp with etching hand 1 comp placed inside of it. Now I can go in there and I can add and subtract whatever I would like to in this whole thing. So there's a ton of tutorials that you'll be looking at after this that'll show you like how to do stuff. But the basics of it is we're going to pull this item in, and we're going to click on the twirl down here, click on these transform sort of like stopwatches, and if you, let's say I wanted to change the position and the rotation of this, I would do that, and you would see it when I click the stopwatches, it drops these little diamonds that are called keyframes. So if I scroll forward in the timeline a little bit and drop that, and then I just move this thing over, and for rotation I would grab the rotation tool and let's see, and turn it like this. Now the computer is basically, when I push the play button, it's going to move the hand like that. So our job now is to move these objects around the screen and add in typography and backgrounds and all the rest of that stuff, and slowly build out this project so that it ends up being like the examples we've looked at in class. So start with these 3 tutorials, the 2 Photoshop tutorials and this one, and then work your way through the other like specialized things about how to add typography or how to put this or that in there. There's a lot of good resources on the course website.